The news that continues here on One News Now. I'm Pauline Verzosa. Residents of Batangas have started flocking to cemeteries for Undas. And for more updates on that, we have our mobile journalist Amy Atienza reporting to us live on the ground. Amy, good morning. Kamusta na ang dami ng tao sa mga sementeryo dyan sa Batangas?
Good morning, Pauline. Umabot na nga ng 1,000 ang taong pumasok dito sa sementeryo ng Lipa City. At yun nga, sinabi din sa akin ng ilang mga namamahala dito na marami pa raw ang inaasahan nilang pumunta dito sa Lipa City Catholic Cemetery. Ayun nga, ang sistema daw dito hindi na maaaring pumasok ang mga tricycle at kung papasok man sila, tanging drop-off na lang. Pero allowed pa naman ang mga sasakyan. Siguraduhin lang na sumunod sila sa one-lane parking, pati na rin sa sistema na pinapatupad ng sementeryo dito. Bukod pa dyan, Pauline, marami na rin ang nagbebentang mga stalls na para sa pagkain, sa mga kandila at bulaklak na kinakailangan ng mga bibisita sa kanilang mga yumaong kamag-anak o kaya naman kaibigan. Kanina ding 6 a.m. at around 6 a.m. medyo may traffic na din dito sa daan ng Lipa City at yun nga, inaasahan din na mas lalala pa ito mamayang hapon lalo na dahil tinitingnan nila na may overnight daw na mangyayari sa ilang mga bibisita dito hanggang bukas. Pauline?
Okay, Amy, sabi mo nga nasa 1,000 na yung mga bumibisita dyan sa Lipa Cemetery, pero ano ba yung estimated number ng mga autoridad dyan? Aabot ba sa hundreds of thousands?
Yes, Pauline, nasa around 100 na daw ang naka-deploy dito from the Police Department of Lipa City. Meron din silang iba't ibang volunteers from the different organizations of Lipa. Kasama na nga dyan ang Boy Scouts of the Philippines, pati na rin ang rescue volunteers para daw sa medical concerns na mangyayari sa mga bibisita. Bukod po dyan, Pauline, meron na nga din mga volunteers dito na mga kabataan naman para lang daw makita at ma-observe ang operations ng cemetery dito, Pauline.
Okay, Amy, ano ba yung mga paalala natin sa mga may balak pang bumisita dyan, sa mga Batanggenyo? Ano yung mga pinagbabawal? Pati hanggang anong oras bukas ang mga sementeryo dyan sa Batangas?
Yes, Pauline, mga typical naman ang pinagbabawal dito. Bawal ang lighter, pagdala ng lighter, vape, pati na rin ang sigarilyo. Pero ayun, wala naman na masyadong restrictions. Basta ang kinakailangan lang daw talaga ay huwag magiging makalat dito sa mga sementeryo. At bukas naman daw halos lahat ng public cemeteries sa Batangas, maliban na nga lang yung mga binisita natin sa Laurel at Talisay. At yun nga, 24 hours silang bukas simula kahapon, October 21 hanggang bukas, November 2, Pauline.
Okay, maraming salamat para sa update na yan. That was mobile journalist Amy Atienza. And now let's head on over to the Libingan ng mga Bayani, where President Bongbong Marcos is expected to visit his late father, Marcos Sr. And for more updates, we have our mobile journalist Julie Baiza reporting to us on the ground this morning. Julie, nagsimula na ba nga dumagsa ang mga tao dyan?
Pauline, nandito na nga at nag-iintay na sa pagdating ni Pangulong Bongbong Marcos yung ilan sa mga taga-suporta ng pamilya Marcos. Yan yung grupong One Movement. Ngayong araw kasi anumang oras inaasahan darating na nga si Pangulong Bongbong Marcos kasama ang First Family kung saan magsasagawa sila ng misa bukod sa pag-aalay ng bulaklak at kandila sa puntod ng yumaong ama. Bukod dyan Pauline, inaasahan din na makikipag-usap ng kaunti ang Pangulo dito sa mga supporters nga na nagpunta dito gaya nung nangyari nung mga nagdaang taon.
Okay, Julie, anong oras daw ba inaasahang bibisita si President Bongbong Marcos dyan sa Libingan ng mga Bayani?
Pauline, ngayong alas 9 nakatakda yung misa. So anumang oras inaabangan na naka-lockdown na itong area sa paligid ng puntod ni dating Pangulong Marcos at wala nang any movement na nangyayari sa kasalukuyan.
Okay, at Julie, bukas naman sa publiko ang Libingan ng mga Bayani. Kahit sino pwede rin dumalaw at bumisita dyan?
Yes, Pauline, nakakapasok pa rin. Sa kabila nga ng ipinatutupad na mahigpit ng seguridad, of course, dahil nga sa pagdating ng Pangulo at First Family, nakakapasok pa rin yung publiko dito. Partikular yung mga magsisipagdalaw din naman sa kanilang mahal sa buhay. Ano? Hanggang alas 10 ng gabi, bukas itong libingan ng mga bayani para sa mga nais dumalaw. Sa seguridad naman, of course, yung usual inspection, pagpasok pa lang sa gate, ipinatutupad yan. And dito sa vicinity, kung makikita ninyo sa likod ko, ayan, may mga nakabantay na sundalo, of course, dito sa paligid ng puntod para ma-secure din ang First Family.
Okay, Julie, kanino pa bang mga puntod ang usually binibisita ng mga o dinadagsa ng mga tao dyan sa libingan ng mga bayani?
Pauline, ang pinakamarami talaga ngayon na bisita is of course itong kay dating Pangulong Ferdinand Marcos Sr. Kasi may isang grupo nga mula sa norte daw sila, yung ilan galing dito sa Metro Manila, mga kagrupo itong One Movement na aabot daw sila sa 500 in total. Pero kaunti nga lang, controlled lang yung mga pumasok ngayon dito. So eto, ilan yung kung makikita ninyo sa likod ko, ayan, may mga bystanders, mga nakaabang at mga taga-suporta. Ito pa sa kabilang panig. Ayan, si nanay kumakaway. Yan. So sila yung mga nag-aabang sa pagdating ng Pangulo at kaninang umaga nung hindi pa inilalockdown yung area, nagpay na din sila ng kanilang respect. May mga lumapit na din doon sa puntod.
Okay, maraming salamat para sa report na yan. That was mobile journalist Julie Baiza. Now, the Metro Pacific Tollways Corporation, or MPTC, has reactivated its Safe Trip Mo, Sagot Ko Motorist Assistance Program for Undas. Under this program, there is an increased personnel deployment, 24/7 traffic condition monitoring, and incident response and enhanced traffic management measures for motorists. Emergency and medical incident response teams were also deployed within the expressways. MPTC will also offer free towing service for Class 1 vehicles from October 31, 6 a.m. to November 4, 6 a.m. MPTC and One News under Signal are part of the MVP group of companies. We'll be back with more stories after this break. Keep it here on One News. President Bongbong Marcos and Vice President Sara Duterte's trust and performance ratings dipped in the latest OCTA research survey. The president's trust rating this quarter dropped from 71% to 69%. The vice president's trust rating also saw a significant decrease from 65% to 59%. PBBM's performance rating had a slight fall from 68% to 66%. Meanwhile, VP Sara's performance rating had a noticeable decrease from 68% to 60%. The survey was conducted from September 4 to 7 with a plus-3% of margin of error. In an interview with Storycon, OCTA President Ranjit Rai noted that PBBM's ratings were higher than VP Sara for the first time.
And I guess I think what their team has to look at is really the quarter to quarter also, because it's now a 2-quarter decline. She's never had this kind of trend before.
OCTA Research Fellow Guido David explains the possible reasons behind the drop in the ratings of our top government officials. And here's an excerpt from his interview on The Big Story.
What do you think?
Well, if we're going by the previous 2 quarters, we could definitely call it a trend. But the trust and performance ratings are very dynamic, and they can change at any time. So what I mean to say is, and I'm not making any corrections to what my colleague said, but I just want to make it clear that trends can also change directions, and this can happen depending on what the personality does. Sometimes they might do something that's approved by the public, and then that could maybe earn them better trust numbers. Of course, at this time, this is what we're seeing over the previous quarters, and and this was conducted September 4 to 7, even before these events that were mentioned in the headline. I think around this time in early September, we were having these Senate and Quadcom hearings on the budget. So I think the numbers may have been affected by these hearings that we had in early September.
Okay, your standard deviation is a plus or minus 3%. I remember in the previous edition of this survey, after the second quarter, there were already some declines, but it was still within the margin of error and therefore quite, quote unquote, unremarkable. Can you explain to us the technicalities, Guido, behind this plus or minus 3% margin of error that you have, or some people would call the beta or the deviation? And is that also computed with the amount of people that you surveyed, which in this case is 1,200?
That's definitely very correct, Sean. So the margin of error, it depends on the sampling and the number of respondents. So if we can increase the number of respondents, let's say to 2,400, we might be able to decrease the margin of, we would be able to decrease the margin of error to down to about 2%, which would mean, that the results would be more reflective of the population response. You did mention that the decrease in the previous quarter was within the margin of error. And right now, even though we see a dip in the numbers of the president and maybe the House Speaker, these are within the margin of error of 3%.
U.S. presidential candidates Kamala Harris and Donald Trump continue holding rallies ahead of Election Day. In Green Bay, Harris called out Trump for saying that he would protect women as president, whether they like it or not. Harris said Trump doesn't understand their agency, authority, and right, and their ability to make decisions for their own lives. Trump, meanwhile, flew to Albuquerque, New Mexico for a campaign rally. And Trump has said, without providing evidence, that he expects fraudulent voting, echoing his false claims of fraud in 2020. Meanwhile, a financial services firm reported that American voters are concerned about their economic future, regardless of who will win the upcoming elections. Bankrate said 2 out of 5 people in America have inflation as their top issue in the presidential elections. Their survey also revealed that 55% of Americans believe their economy is heading in the wrong direction. Based on a Financial Times survey, 44% of Americans trust Republican candidate Donald Trump with the economy over Democratic candidate Vice President Kamala Harris. And those are the top stories of the hour this Friday. I'm Pauline Verzosa. We are One News.